The Bell Case. A question of justice on death row. Michael Bell, a name now synonymous with a looming execution date, has been on death row since 1995. His conviction stems from the 1993 murders of Jimmy West and Tamika Smith. For nearly 3 decades, Bell has awaited his fate. His execution was scheduled for July 5. His state brought renewed urgency to a long-standing legal battle. Beal's defense team mounted a final, critical effort to overturn his conviction. Their primary argument centers on allegations of coerced witness testimonies. They contend that the very foundation of the state's case against Bell was built on false statements. These statements, they claim, were extracted under duress. The defense seeks to prove that key witnesses were manipulated. This alleged manipulation, they argue, led to a wrongful conviction. These stakes are undeniably high, with a man's life hanging in the balance. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Details of the 1993 murders. The tragic events unfolded on December 9, 1993. Jimmy West and Tamika Smith were the victims of a brutal double homicide. The motive, according to the prosecution, was a chilling act of revenge. Michael Bell's brother, Lamar Bell, had been killed by theodolite in an act of prosecutors asserted that Michael Bell swore vengeance for his brother's death. They claimed he meticulously plotted this retribution for months. The chosen weapon was an AK-47 rifle. Bell allegedly acquired this firearm through a girlfriend. The target was Theodore Wright's yellow Plymouth, a car West had recently purchased. Bell reportedly shot West and Smith at point-blank range. He also fired shots at the front of a nearby liquor lounge. The scene was one of calculated violence and devastation. Following the murders, Bell allegedly made a chilling statement. He reportedly declared, "Theodore got my brother, so he killed his, but an innocent girl got hurt. So now the score is even." This statement, if true, painted a clear picture of motive and intent. Beyond this case, Bell had a history of violent crime. He pleaded guilty to 3 other murders. These included a woman and her toddler son in 1989, and his mother's boyfriend. For these additional crimes, he received a sentence of 25 years. Defense's appeal. Claims of coerced testimony. The core of Bell's appeal rests on claims of false testimony. His defense argues that key witnesses provided untrue statements at trial. These statements, they assert, were the product of coercion. The alleged coercion was orchestrated by Detective William Bellina, now deceased. Bellina's methods, the defense contends, systematically corrupted the investigative process. This pattern of alleged misconduct casts a shadow over the original conviction. 2 key witnesses, Henry Edwards and Charles Jones, have now recanted their trial testimonies. Their new claims form the bedrock of Bell's current appeal. These recantations emerged decades after the initial trial. Henry Edwards originally testified that he witnessed the shooting. He identified Bell as the perpetrator. Edwards also stated he had no agreement with the state for his testimony. Now, Edwards claims he was inside the store and did not witness the shooting. He alleges Bellina told him exactly what to say. Edwards further claims he received jail furloughs as a reward for his testimony. He describes feeling threatened by Bell. Edwards states Bellina pointed out Bell in a photo lineup, effectively directing his identification. This raises serious questions about the integrity of the identification process. Charles Jones also originally testified without an alleged agreement with the state. He claimed to have seen Bell attempting to sell the murder weapon. Jones also stated he heard Bell admit to the killings. Jones now asserts that Bellina, whom he knew through his sister, coerced him. He claims Bellina and prosecutor George Botay instructed him on what to say. Jones alleges he was offered help with other charges in exchange for his cooperation. Crucially, Jones now contradicts his original testimony. He states Bell never tried to sell him a gun, nor did Bell confess to him. This directly undermines critical elements of the prosecution's original case. Jones further alleges continued coercion. He claims Botay threatened him with more time in 2002. If he changed his testimony, Bellina and Botay allegedly promised a downward departure for federal charges. If he maintained his original story, the timing of this new evidence is a critical point of contention. Affidavits from these witnesses were filed shortly after Bell's death warrant was signed on June 13. The defense characterizes these as newly discovered evidence. This late emergence of recantations raises immediate questions. Why did these witnesses wait decades to come forward? The defense attributes this delay to fear and ongoing pressure. The defense points to an alleged pattern of misconduct. They reference similar tactics employed by Bellina and Botay in the Kenneth Hartley case. Revelations about Bellina's methods, they note, became public years after Beal's trial. This suggests a systemic issue. not an isolated incident. The defense argues that Belena's alleged practices were not known or fully understood at the time of Bell's original trial. This lack of awareness, they contend, prevented a fair assessment of the evidence. Estate vehemently contests the defense's claims. Their primary counterargument focuses on the timing of the alleged new evidence. They assert that these witnesses were known to Bell's defense team for years. Specifically, the state claims the defense was aware of these individuals and their potential for recantation since at least 28, however, were only filed after the death warrant was signed. This delay, the state implies, is strategic rather than indicative of newly discovered facts. The state emphasizes the strength of the original trial evidence. They highlight the testimony of Bell's former girlfriend, Erica Williams. Her testimony, they argue, was compelling and uncoerced. Williams stated that Bell planned the revenge. She also testified that he purchased the murder weapon, the AK-47. Her account provided a direct link between Bell and the crime. Furthermore, Williams corroborated Bell's alleged post-murder statement. He testified that Bell told her, "Theo killed his brother, so he killed his, but an innocent girl got hurt. So now the score is even." This statement aligns with the revenge motive. The state maintains that the new evidence is not compelling enough. They argue it does not warrant a retrial or a stay of execution. The recantations, they suggest, lack credibility, given their timing and the circumstances. They contend that the original conviction was sound. The evidence presented at trial, they argue, overwhelmingly pointed to Bell's guilt. The state views the current appeal as a last-ditch effort to avoid justice. An evidentiary hearing was held on June 23 to assess the new claims. The proceedings revealed significant inconsistencies and a lack of cooperation from key witnesses. This further complicated the defense's position. Charles Jones, one of the recanting witnesses, repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment rights. His uncooperative stance hindered the defense's ability to fully present his new claims. This refusal to testify fully raised immediate questions about his credibility. Henry Edwards, while more cooperative than Jones, also pleaded the Fifth multiple times. His testimony was marked by peculiar statements. Edwards claimed he believed investigators were making a movie during the original process. He also stated that he just went along with what you all wanted me to say. This suggests a passive role in his original testimony rather than active fabrication. Edwards further admitted he did not write or read his affidavit, merely signing it. Other original trial witnesses also provided conflicting accounts. Paula Goines, Bell's nephew, cited memory issues. Goines would not explicitly say he was threatened, but rather persuaded by Belena and Botti. This nuanced language offered little clarity. Erica Brackett, another of Bell's girlfriends, either pleaded the Fifth or claimed "I don't recall." Her responses regarding Belena and Botti's tactics were evasive. This pattern of non-cooperation or memory lapse was consistent across several witnesses. Similar responses were observed from other felons who testified. They either claimed not to recall events or invoked their Fifth Amendment rights. This made it challenging to establish a clear pattern of coercion. However, some testimony did shed light on Belena's alleged conduct. Kathy Robertson, Edwards' ex, testified that Belena sometimes brought Edwards for visits while he was incarcerated. She also claimed Belena gave her cash. This testimony suggested a potentially improper relationship between Belena and Edwards. It hinted that Edwards might have been a confidential informant for both. Such a relationship could explain alleged favors and influence. Despite the hearing, no future court date was scheduled. The outcome of the hearing remains uncertain. The court must now weigh the credibility of these belated recantations against the original trial evidence. The defense faces an uphill battle. They must convince the court that these new claims are credible enough to overturn a decades-old conviction. The state, meanwhile, maintains that justice was served. The case of Michael Bell continues to highlight the complexities of the justice system. It underscores the enduring questions surrounding witness testimony, police conduct, and the pursuit of truth. The final chapter of this long and contentious legal saga remains unwritten.